Welcome to Square Read Podcast, everybody. Episode number 41. Today is our Veterans Day episode. We have an independent pro wrestler, Shawn Berens. Or Berens. I said it earlier two times.
It's Berens.
Berens. There we go.
Shawn Berens.
Who is also a Navy vet.
Hey, so Shawn, we're just going to throw this out there in the beginning. I know you probably don't see eye to eye with all of our opinions. Us being big babies and you being this big natural heel. So just let you know on this platform, we still might bump heads a little bit, but we want to keep it more of a calm, cool conversation going on. Something that our fans, mutual fans, can sit and listen and find out more information about you. Now, whether the fans want to be on the dark side, that's totally up to them. But just for this next hour and a half, we're gonna keep it cool and learn more about you. How's that sound?
Oh, that's fine. I do more of my fighting in the ring anyway, so we're not in the ring tonight, so we can just all be nice, civil, and speak nicely.
There we go.
And for going from this point forward, everybody, if you're watching, this is going to be rated R and above. So you have the opportunity to click off if you don't want to listen to it, because some veteran stories are not for the faint of heart.
Well, I mean, we're going to calm that down a little bit because, we want our fans of all ages to be able to watch this. So, I mean, yes, there probably will, like in all of our podcasts, we might have a slip of the tongue or the cuss words or whatever. But when it comes to like weird stuff that the military gets away with, we might want to water that down. No, not saying that the military does anything weird, but on their free time. Yeah. They have a whole different type of locker room and have their own different type of stories. So, but Shaw, how's it going tonight, man?
Oh, it's a good, nice Monday night. If you're not watching Raw, you better be watching this place.
So, we just had Veterans Day. Were you able to celebrate? And what did you do?
Oh yeah, I went around. I actually got me some good freebie deals going on. I got my haircut for free that day. I got my voucher at Texas Roadhouse to be used down the road. Got me a couple other free meals along the way. I just got to enjoy it.
So. That's pretty good. So we already established, yes, you have a military background. What is your military background? What did you do? What did you serve?
Well, I went in August 16, 2001, at active duty Navy. About halfway through boot camp, that's when 9/11 happened, so that was a fun experience. They wouldn't tell us hardly anything, and anybody that was set to graduate that week, turns out all the visitors and such, they couldn't come on. So those guys had to not just deal with that, they were going to war. It felt kind of like that movie Starship Troopers. You're just in there trying to get all the benefits and good stuff, and barely even got your 2 minutes in there and already going to war. So some experience. I went in after boot camp, then I went down to my specialty school. I can't find an exact universal phrase for it, to run my specific job. I was what's known at the time as a dispersing clerk. Now that involves is that a lot of payroll. So I basically paid everybody all their money. So any of those benefits they get paid out, I'm one of the guys that, clicks those buttons and makes it come into their paycheck. Along with a couple other admin things too. Like if you're going, say you're going from the States to another country, Navy does the reimbursements on that, all the travel per diem, what we call. We pay them all that back. And a little bit of accounting work too. So when I got in, I wanted to get a certain skill I could use when I'm in my 60s and 70s. I didn't just go in there and just paint ships and haul stuff around because I'm 6'2", and bulky. I wanted something I could actually use that I can do because, I can get run over the next day. My leg could be pretty much numb, but I can still crunch numbers to make an honest living to support my family. That's what counts to me.
Oh, yeah. Hey, payroll is my favorite department at work. I always make sure Angie's good.
I'll bet you do.
You were the popular guy. Everyone kind of suck up to you, huh?
I was everyone's best friend on payday, but I was their worst enemy when they screwed up because we'd also those guys. If you seen any of those old war movies, when people are getting in trouble, they get half month's pay, reduction in rank, all that stuff. I'm also the guy that puts in the paperwork and clicks the buttons to make that happen.
Ooh.
So I'm only your worst enemy if you screw up. Well, actually, that's wrong. I should say if you screw up and get caught. I learned that from a long time ago. It's like, because after 12 years of service, you can wear the gold stripes on there. So I saw a guy with gold stripes on. I was like, got the good conduct for 12 years. Like, no, I just didn't get caught for 12 years.
Oh, wow. So where all have you been?
Well, after Mississippi, I wanted to get ballsy and go see the world. So I put in to go to Japan. And I didn't go to Tokyo. I went on to Kyushu Island, which is about 45 minutes from where we bombed Hiroshima back in World War II. And this is and it sucks. We just had Halloween, so this is kind of a spooky part to it. They say that one of the housing areas, the Hario housing, was actually built on top of the old fallout shelter / hospital for all the victims that were that got sick and damaged from the atomic blasts. And no Japanese person will not go on there after dark because you can see ghosts. Japanese are very superstitious people.
Oh, I bet.
And believe me, there were a couple of moments I felt there was something watching me when I was around there on that island.
Isn't that where like the Suicide Forest is or something like that?
Yes, that's one of them. Yeah, there is a park where it's known for having suicide rates in there.
Man, that's crazy. So did you see some of the people with the weird after effects? I'm sure they're pretty old by now, but
Yeah, I have really. However, there was one scary story, not so much from the bomb victim. There was a moment when we actually had a member of the Yakuza Japanese gang coming through the shopping mall area. I was still in the Starbucks, just messing around on my laptop, and all of a sudden I see all Japanese people just part ways for this one person with his little entourage. Everyone's just bowing. This person's like, I was like asking one of my friends, like, what's going on? It's like, dude, that's one where's the Yakuza clan that's walking through right now. I'm like, oh shit.
I never heard of them.
And then you went ahead and
I never heard of them. Evidently they're a big to-do.
it's like, you've never heard of the Yakuza? Like, they're in all kinds of movies and everything. It's like, it's
Kill
them
Bill.
and who's the other one? There's two giant gangs there that basically run the country.
I mean, I've never been there, and I don't know. I guess I'm not in. I don't know. Does Mortal Kombat count? I like watching those type of movies.
You've seen Lethal Weapon 4 with Jet Li? Wasn't he part of the Yakuza in there?
Yeah, he did some movies with that. Lethal Weapon 4.
So,
Sure.
not to get off topic, but a lot of these stories I actually shared them with somebody we actually had as a guest at one of our shows when we had a Road Warrior Animal at the big show down in the fairgrounds. He and I swapped a lot of good stories about Japan. Plus, I was stationed at also the big city of Fukuoka, which holds a lot of big sporting events, includes wrestling.
Oh, is that? I think Eric Bischoff used to talk about the show that they had out there. Was it out there or was it in North Korea?
I think that show you're talking about was in North Korea. I saw that on Dark Side of the Ring.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm trying to think back to. So, okay, so what you said you were around the area that the bombs happened. Were you able to see any of that stuff? That area, is it still like really heavily damaged, or?
Well, they did a lot of rebuilding, that is for sure. But actually, on the base, some of the brick buildings are still the same ones from back then. It's interesting. In fact, when I got there in March of 2002, our first stop was Iwo Jima. I actually got to go up on go through the jungles and go all the way to the top, which actually has two shrines. One's in Japanese and one's in English, to commemorate everyone that fought and died on not just World War II, but in particularly in the Iwo Jima. I think they still even had one of the old military, I'm guessing officer, like huts they had out there. Like some, because regular guys they didn't have no huts. They were all tents or just make what they can in the forest.
Now, to my understanding, isn't that place still kind of radioactive? Are they concerned about that, or?
Well, there's a big thing about the Japanese military. After that, they actually took a lot of precautions with the radiation. In fact, the only American ships that are allowed on Japanese soil have to be non-nuclear reactive. A lot of these newer ones, they all have radioactive cores. I was on one of them, my second ship. But yeah, in Japan, no radioactive materials are allowed. Even though it's kind of ironic, they just had that whole like one reactor there go out,
Yeah,
I think, into the sea.
Fukushima.
So yeah, that happened well after my time. So I never had too much trouble with it. I haven't really had anything radioactive happen, but I think it was far enough out where I think the really was more of the, can't really say the shockwave part would do a lot more of the damage, after the initial parts. But then when it subsided down, it was far enough out where the levels were far enough out
okay.
because there wouldn't be no American naval yards there at all if there was anything dangerous like that. He definitely would have checked the area before you and tried putting any type of facility on there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just wondering, I'd probably never go over there, so I figured I'd get all the details I could. So where'd you go after Japan?
Well, it's just funny part about it. Japan was actually our home port. We were actually what's called forward deployed. So we would go out to a lot of other types of places all over Asia. After Iwo Jima, then we went to Okinawa to pick up the Marines because the ship I was on, we worked alongside the Marine Battalion, which is known as the 31st MEU, which stands for Marine Expeditionary Unit. And we took operations, and we go to Hong Kong. We went to Singapore, Pohang, Korea, even Thailand, which I recommend. The boxing was very cool. We went down to Darwin, Australia, which also brings a part of a tradition that we were supposed to do, but it got shit canned at the last second. Because when you're on a Navy ship and you go down past the equator, we have what's called a crossing the line ceremony. I'm sure if you've seen any old Navy videos, you see it's a big old ritual type thing. You got the biggest fat guy smear himself with all kinds of nasties and whatnot, where you have to play who he plays King Neptune. You got to kiss his stomach. You got to wade through trenches of who knows what nastiness they put in there. It's all part of the ritual part of it, and then you become. But when you're going in there, you're called a wog, like a polywog. So after you go through all that, you're what becomes a shellback. And everybody that's done it before, we're all getting set. They were doing all the pre-ritual, teasings, ooh, you filthy wogs, you're gonna get it at your crossing line ceremony, you nasty wogs, getting your shirts filled with all kinds of nasty you gotta wear all day long. But the biggest thing that happened was, turns out, the executive officer, which is the rank below the captain of the ship,
Yeah.
he was one. And he didn't want to do the ceremony. So the captain canceled the whole damn thing. And everyone was so pissed off. It's like, send his ass in a damn plane to go somewhere for the day and let's go do this. He is monkeying out on the damn first kilo. I can hear him all fucking day. Get him on one of them bitches. Get him the fuck out of here so we can do this.
Poor Sean wasn't able to do his
He wanted to be
Yeah. I did have some good fun in Australia, even though it was really humid.
Yeah.
Boxing kangaroo.
Well, I'll just say I met the very nice time of this nice young woman, half Chinese, half Russian, and my hotel had a jacuzzi tub.
So is
That's
that why
probably
you
one
have
of
a
those
smile
stories
on
we're
your
gonna have
face
to.
in that picture?
I'll just say the rest of that tour, I was grinning all the way home.
That's probably one of those stories we're gonna have to tone down for this podcast.
Hey,
Well,
that
On
was
one of,
what do
one
you
of the
got,
comments
sir?
on one of our podcasts, a Russian dude put in that we're all a bunch of, we're not fighters, we're clowns. And I responded, that's funny coming from a Russian calling us clowns.
Who else they saw come riding in shirtless on a bear?
He did that for
Hey,
real, you know.
next time he chimes in, you just tell him, Nate, that we'll send Sylvester Stallone over there, and just like in Rocky, we'll beat the Russians.
Damn.
You
At
think
least
you
my
can still
heart's on
take
fire.
on and drive it?
Hey,
Heart on fire.
so how long were you actually involved? How long did you serve?
Well, I went in 2001 and I got out in January 2007 after my second deployment. I was trying to finish my bachelor's degree because I want to be one of them guys that does 20 years in, gets it, and says, well, what have you done since the military? And I'm sitting there going, I don't know.
There was a
So,
lot of beer.
Well,
And
ain't
apparently,
it
I'm
like,
half Russian, half Chinese.
can't you retire after 10 years? Ain't it like 10 years or 15 years or something like that?
no, it's 20.
20?
There are some exceptions, but yeah, it's 20. I can only give them about almost 6.
Well, I mean, if you would have stayed in and not worried about the bachelors, who cares what they said, what came after the military? Fuck, you retired young.
Yeah, true. I don't regret it.
2001, you would be retired right now.
Yeah, I know. I kicked myself a little bit for that one.
It's good that he had Russian, half Chinese in his ear.
Oh man, well, I'm proud of you for serving the country. I mean, that's a thing that my family's kind of going through right now. We have a middle child who's in the Air Force, and he's down in Mississippi right now, going through his stuff. So won't be too far. Hopefully, he doesn't get involved in any stupid wars that our current president might be hounding to get at. But he's going in. He's actually going to be the one sitting behind the desk, though, and he's going to be like getting was it the measurements from one destination to the next. So he'll be like in the ear of people saying, "Hey, bomb this place at so many clicks or whatever." So I'm glad at that he probably won't see like general war. He'll be behind a desk, hopefully.
Well, heads up, if he tries to get stationed at Kadena Air Force Base in Okinawa, tell him to stay away from Gate 2. Not so fun places young men need to be seen outside that place.
Yeah, that's not
Red
one
A
of the
light.
couple of things
places
we were talking
where.
about earlier.
Yeah, it's a red light district.
Well,
Yes.
Maybe he
Well,
needs to go there then.
he is.
Maybe
I
he
will
needs to
still
take
work.
that.
I was like, if he gets in a cab in Okinawa, do not tell the cab driver Okinawa push. That'll take him right to the red light district. And there's more than one.
Now Zach's going to watch this podcast and he's taking notes.
So,
push.
what? Any other amazing stories that you can actually speak of?
Let's
From
see. There was another fun time. After my time in Japan, I went to Norfolk, Virginia, and we got on board the USS Theodore Roosevelt. And it turns out, as I just finished up 6 months in the Gulf, and then I get there in April, and then, hey, guess what? In September, we're going to the Gulf. I'm like, just came from there. So this time, we're going there from the European side. And it's one of the places we went, and the route we took, we actually went through the Suez Canal, which is like that little body of water going right by Egypt. And there was actually made some like I would say signage and stone on the shoreline says "Welcome to Egypt" in American, some in Aramaic or Egyptian, I believe.
Wow.
In fact, it was an even better one. Right before we got through there, we stopped in Naples, Italy, and one of the tours I got to go to was to Rome and Pompeii, where everyone knows that big old volcano that covered Greeks in ash 2,000 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I actually got to see that place, and that place is an eerie place. I'm telling you. I feel like somebody's gonna go around the corner on fire.
Really?
I got to see like all of them, the calcified bodies, all like laid up, like in terror. It was freaky.
Wow. They
Now
didn't
you
move
do that
them or
now and say
anything?
that's going to be Jim. He's going after your title.
Never know. 2024 is right around the corner. Could be a new year.
Did you say Egypt too? Did I
Huh?
hear you say Cairo? No.
Did you go to
Oh,
Bobby, you're
Cairo?
cutting out. Say that again.
I was saying, did you say you went to Egypt as well?
well, we didn't go on land. We just passed by it, going through the Suez
Because
Canal. That would have been nice,
that's another
though.
one of my bucket list places to go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Those
my bucket
United
list
Arab
too. I want to see
Emirates
the pyramids.
I first got to the UAE, United Arab Emirates, which I'm sure is like a big vacation spot these days. When I first got there, when I came over there on the Essex, my first ship, a lot of those places were just steel girders. Like they were just in the process of building them. And then I went back a year later on the other ship. It was like a 6 culture type mall. It has like places from Egypt, from I can't remember all of them, and there's also one mall that has an indoor ski slope. Like
What?
seriously, you can like go down indoors on a damn ski slope in the mall.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the
Kind of like,
UAE and Dubai, they build quick.
yeah, I was going to say, just like Dubai. Dubai's got everything. I
Oh yeah,
mean,
That's where they're building the islands, isn't it?
yeah, that's one of
The
the
Finger
places.
Island.
And a big time to go to is around this time of year. It's called their Ramadan, religious holiday period, and they always give discounts on it.
well, mental note, we got to go in November or December to Egypt.
Well, don't
I
worry,
don't
we'll
know.
just go
I
in
think
after WWE does it. Don't worry, we'll just go in there after Crown Jewel. Well, they'll have plenty of this kind of stuff right there. We'll still heard we'll start setting up a dang show out there.
I heard the
Capitalize
UFC
on
is going to be going out there next.
it. Ought to be us. Just saying. Yeah, I sandboarded in the sand dunes once. I'll do it again. I was coming in with your clothesline.
My goodness.
That was fun though. Sandboarding was fun. Yeah, one of the little things in Dubai we got to go do was like these SUVs through all the sand dunes, and my dumbass decided to wear a white shirt, and I had a Starbucks Frappuccino in my hand. We hit a bump. I think you can guess what happened.
Yeah.
Most of the pictures I got somebody in front of me. I drank coffee with a white shirt on, going through sand dunes.
so. Did you do the sandboarding out there? Because I know I did.
Yeah.
I did that, and going down the volcano on the board.
I didn't know no
It's not in
volcanoes,
Egypt.
but yeah, they had sandboarding when we got this little oasis, and we even got to try on the Arab clothing. You know, you think those things would be like ventilated and whatnot, but I was sweating my butt off in that thing. I had like the thing with the ring on the top, like you seen Attila and Stephen E wearing the whole outfit, and it's like that thing is hot.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, were
I
you
put that
wearing
thing
Would have
on
been a
underneath.
little bit
I don't
more.
think they do.
Yeah, and I had shorts and a t-shirt underneath. I wasn't like in full pants and whatnot. I was in shorts and a t-shirt, and just putting that on was. I had to take it off like 5 minutes later. Like, I can't do this. This is too freaking hot.
Wow. All right, so let's fast forward a little bit. When does wrestling cross your path?
Well, I've been a fan since I was about 7, 8 years old. I
All
ran
right, let me
every
stop you.
SummerSlam WrestleMania. Oh, actually getting into wrestling.
Yeah, let me stop you then. You've been a fan since you're so little. WWF or WCW?
I watched both back then.
Pick one.
I actually like WCW better.
All right. So, while you were deployed everywhere, did you ever get to see any of the tribute to the troops?
Not personally, but this is really the messed up part. We had on our home port and on the base there, and when I came home, there was like a month and a half difference. It's like whatever happened, whatever was going on here in the States, we were seeing what happened a month and a half ago back in Japan. So I got back home, when I got on leave, I'm looking on TV, I'm like, what the hell did this happen? What, that was when? What the hell?
There was a
like,
in fact, there was a guy that came up and was showing me a bunch of pictures that he took because he was at one of the troops. And it's like, that looks like it'd be pretty amazing to be at.
yeah, we didn't have them. We had the Harlem Globetrotters when I was on the Theodore Roosevelt.
That's
I guess that would be fun.
the whole Harlem Globetrotters is cool when you're a young kid, but man, something like military guys, you would think they would do more of the wrestling or
I know.
something involving girls over there or something versus Harlem Globetrotters.
They didn't involve
Although they did make up for it with Chuck Norris. We actually had enough Chuck Norris on there on a 4th of July weekend. So they kind of made up for it with him.
What more can you ask for than Chuck Norris? That already wins.
Yeah.
Because you knew you were going to be safe that day because no other country's messing with Chuck Norris.
Although I was surprised that I was expecting him to be a lot taller. He's like here on me.
He'll still kick you in the jaw.
I'm not saying he wouldn't. I'll admit it.
Well, have you guys ever seen the clips of him and Bruce Lee going at it? Bruce Lee has always been known to be short, but Chuck Norris is about the same height as him, so you knew Chuck had to be short too.
Did you see the edit that somebody made? It's old now, but where it's that scene for the movie Bruce Lee and Chuck talk about soundtrack, picking the soundtrack makes the movie, and they put Kenny G to it as they're slowly stripping down and.
I think
Totally.
I have seen that.
Kenny G.
So how did wrestling bite you? How did you? Who got you in the door? How did you start?
Well, honestly, it was a couple of guys that I was friends with that actually did try out and did like some training at GCW back in the day. So they were trying to put together a little thing in like a little recording studio down in Hampton. They called it the Danger Room. As we started getting the intro to the basics, and that just went its course, and not my most finest areas.
Yeah.
Then the first time, I believe you guys were having a show at the Caseyville Township building. I think it was 2013, 14.
Yeah.
I think
we've been there twice, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, I think it was a while ago. And I'm trying to remember if it was you or Ron I spoke with that was talking about they were opening up a wrestling school.
Oh man, it could have been me, but I'm very bad with my memory. So
I thought Ron was gone for a while before we opened up the school.
I couldn't remember exactly, but that's when first one kind of popped up there because I remember my son was just born, and I think that's when I was trying to work. I was trying to learn from Keith Smith Sr. There was a handful of us, which also included Gunner and Jake Prater.
Yep. Because my middle child that I was talking about being in the military, he was actually in that for just a short period of time. He tried out with you guys, but he as a kid he always suffered from migraines, and being when you first try out to be a wrestler, you can't get the bumps down properly, and if you don't, you're smacking your head on that mat constantly, and that just like intensified his migraine. So he had to bow out. I think he only made it like maybe a month before he called it quits.
Well,
But
I
do
was only for
remember
a couple
coming down
months.
there.
Yeah, but I said I won't go into the details exactly, but he kind of cut me loose after a couple months. I'm not going into details. It was whatever. So I decided I knew about Dynamo over in the Limp Brewery area, so I went over there and got trained by one of them was Jake Durden, who worked with you guys plenty of times back in the day.
Yeah, dirty eye.
I did. Yep. Yeah, it's him, Mike Outlaw, a couple people come in here and there. Even the professionals actually came down a couple times. Roll around the ring with us, had some fun. I do remember a great seminar with Cole Cabana that came in there. He actually kind of one of the things I took away from that one was a lot about the athletic stance when you're in a lot of the holes we do. And we'll put some in the headlock if we're locking up, if good footwork, foot placement and stances was key. And that's what Colt actually kind of emphasized on a lot of that. And a lot of times when I'm helping out, down at the academy, I'm remembering that same thing, that movement, that fluid motion when you're trying to get your stance and doing the transition from move to move.
Right. You got to have a strong stance too. Otherwise, if you get, it's easier for them to knock you out of balance if you don't have that ground, that stance. So, understandably. So.
Yeah. Plus, I got the 15 years martial arts background too, so some of the transitions into wrestling was kind of the same way, like protecting that neck of yours. That's the main thing we did every time we did. We incorporated a lot of Aikido. There's a lot of break falls and rolls, which is very similar to what we do in the ring. So a lot of just those little differences.
So this is the first time I'm hearing about this. You did 15 years of martial arts?
Yeah, I started senior year of high school in Tong Soo-do, and then before I found wrestling, I competed and got all the way to second degree in Shotokan and Shorin Kempo. That's kind of why my wrist is the way this is. I had ligament reconstructive. Let me find the camera. I had ligament reconstructive surgery on my right hand because during my black belt test, the second final portion we do was 10 3-minute rounds of consecutive sparring. And about round 6 or 7, I go to throw a hand technique, like a ridge hand, coming out, and the guy hit me in my wrist really on the money, where I was like, what the hell? I just sworn it was broken. I didn't want to dare open it. So I just kept my glove back here and just used my forearm to protect best I could for the next 3 rounds.
Oh,
and
wow.
by the time the last round hit, I finally took my glove off. There was a nice big old divot in my thumb area here that wasn't there before. I'm like, that's not good. And by the time we got to, getting all the sparring gear off, trying to get ready for the ceremony, my hand swelled up to the size of a tomato.
Wow.
And I still had to break my brick. And I'm right-handed. And I was practiced for it on my right. So, I should have seen this coming, but I got to push through it. So I tried with the normal palm part. Didn't work. So I figured, okay, how about we call it a hammer fist? Bring us up right there. I was like, please let this work. And I just swung up as hard as I could and just went boom. And then 2 seconds later, I was like, oh thank God. I felt like the Undertaker too. I was like kneeling on one knee. I felt like the Undertaker. I was like, I just won my 20th WrestleMania.
So did you make it through then? Through the whole testing? Did you make it through the whole testing?
Yeah, that was the second last portion. So I was able to break my brick, and I was able to get it, and I thought I just dislocated my thumb, and then I went and got an X-ray. It's like, nope, you tore the ligaments in it. You need to have surgery.
Wow.
Shit. And this is the VA hospital down in the city. So I got the pin in, all that fun stuff. But here's the thing: this was 2010. Then Dateline put on the whole report about the unsanitary conditions in the VA hospital where I was just at.
Oh.
And because of that, they shut the whole thing down. And it was time for me to come in and take the pin in. It's like, I'm sorry, we're still shut down. We can't see it. Well, where can I go to get this out? I gotta get it. It's my time to get it out. It's like, well, we gotta wait till we open back up. It's like, I can't go to one of the other places in the area. No, you gotta wait till we open back up.
Wow.
So for about 3 or 4 extra months, I still got this stupid pin in my hand, and you can see it sticking out at the time. And you brush up against anything, it just shooting pain goes up your arm. It sucks. So when I finally got it out, normal, that one. So yeah, it's like I can't get it to go all the way to do normal push-ups anymore. I normally use the perfect push-ups when I do my push-ups, as I'm training to get that. So because after 10, I still feel so far off balance. I'm more focusing on trying to keep my balance than I am trying to engage my muscles to do my push-ups. And
wow.
That's not where I need to be. If I want to be able to, keep improving and keeping, that up, I gotta make sure that I've stabilized in that so I can focus on working the muscles I need to get the most out of them.
So, why didn't you stay in that type of, I mean, I know you were injured, but most of the time you fight back through that injury and you try to go back and conquer even more. Did you go back to martial arts, or did you just say, nope,
Yeah.
I'm done?
Oh yeah, that was at my first degree testing. I still came back after that and still got my second degrees in both Shotokan and Shorin Kempo. In fact, here's a good part. The person we actually brought in, a part of Shorin Kempo, is actually, if you remember the old Ripley's Believe It or Not that was on TBS back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was actually, you'll see the video on there. There is a person called Terry Bryant. He's the person that was on there that was able to catch an arrow with his bare hands. And he got to be at not just my testing, he actually got to teach a class.
Nice.
For us to all enjoy that. And that's almost pretty close to, Chuck North, Bruce Lee type level fame in the martial arts community with that type of person you're having.
Let me ask you, Bobby takes archery or does archery. Can you shoot an arrow at you and you catch it?
No. Oh, no. I'm not that fast.
I'll take the tip off.
No, I was fast, but I'm not that fast. I'm just fast for my size.
What if I take the tip off?
Well, the tip is what he likes.
Just the tip.
Just
the tip.
All right, so you, man, 15 years. That's a long time to be in that. That's kind of cool. And then from there, you went to wrestling.
It begs my
That's
question, though, that I'm thinking here. Why don't we see some? I assume you did a lot of kicks and strikes. Why are we not seeing any of this in the ring?
Well, I think I might get my strikes in there somewhat, but I could try to incorporate kicks out because I was taught back then to always kick through. So I did a lot of work to trying to get these to stop going all the way through. So I got to work on my legs next. So I'm still fairly flexible for almost 43.
What he's trying to say, Bobby, is that thumb muscle goes all the way down to his foot bone, and it sends a pain shock all the way down there, so he can't do the kick properly, at least on his right side. But he's right-handed, so that's his proper side. So he can't do it with his left either. So he's pretty much he can't do any kicks now.
I'm just saying, it could be impressive stuff for the fans to see. Someone your size.
Well, 2024 is going to be a new year.
Oh yeah,
might be a thing to work on. Just be careful. Careful what you wish for.
And he says that because the Central States title will be more likely his first one that he goes after, and then he'll come after mine. So,
I can
And then go
dodge.
after the cup.
Who do you idolize in wrestling? Who is the wrestlers, from the big leagues, WCW and WWF or WWE? Who were your guys?
Well, when I was a kid, I was a bit of a Hulkamaniac. I'll admit it, only because I didn't know better. but I also love the Road Warriors. I love the Rockers. I love Demolition. Like, they're one of my favorites. I remember loving even when they were together or apart, seeing the Rock and Roll Express, Robert Gibson, Ricky Morton, either fighting together or fighting each other. That one, I think it was Great American Bash that they were on was it a scaffolding match they were on, or was that a steel cage? I can't remember.
Oh, well, I don't know if it was the Great American Bash, but I do know they did the scaffolding match. Can't talk.
That's the one I remember the most, because I always get the pay-per-views because my dad worked for the cable company back then. I got to see WrestleMania. I got to see WrestleMania. My first one was WrestleMania 7 for free. Yeah.
I did not watch a lot of old school wrestling, even I saw that one.
So, are you kind of thrilled that the Rock and Roll Express is coming to our Fan Fest Part 2?
Absolutely. I've been on cards with Ricky Morton before, and he's always a great guy to hang out with.
That dude's just funny in his natural state.
Right.
Like,
oh yes,
don't plan anything. Let the guy start talking.
By the time I got in the locker room, we already was talking.
Those two are pretty hilarious. Me and Bobby got to meet them at CAC a couple of years ago. Yeah, and they're partiers. I mean, rock and roll. That's their whole slogan. So
I've already seen the damn aftermath, which did it.
I just got my 2023 CAC recap in the mail today.
yeah, I brought mine out to kind of show it off. So if anyone who's a member, probably this week is getting it all, and basically it just goes through all the people who were there last year, the CM Punks, the Mickey James and the Nasty Boys, which I tell you was probably the best one of the night.
Best one of the year. Let's go all the way.
Hands down. I mean, the stuff that they were talking about and the way they were talking was crazy.
Well, when he stopped his speech to say, "I'm so effing high," or "I'm so effing drunk," I don't care.
I'll throw a little slide there. If you guys go to my YouTube channel, me and Bobby were there, and I recorded it and I posted it on my YouTube channel. Check it out because it is the most funny exception speech that there ever was.
You can just tell that Knobs did not care.
The funniest part is Knobs was talking about how he doesn't know much about the internet, doesn't know how to get on the internet, so he doesn't care what makes it on the internet. He didn't give a shit, and it was probably the most funniest crap I ever listened to. And he got a standing ovation when he ended because everyone. I mean, he made the night, but it was totally cool. But yeah, it just recaps everyone. CM Punk. I think his speech was great too. Anytime you can talk about Harley, and I did not know he was a Harley boy. Until that night, when he started coming up with different Harley race stories, and the favorite one was when Harley Race was puking in his brand new car, brand new to him. It was his baby in the car. He just got it, and Harley Race is puking out the window. And then afterwards, he CM Punk takes him to his hotel. They got to walk him up to his room so he can find his room, get in his room, and for him to say, sorry, kid, for puking in your car. And CM Punk was like, oh, man, I don't care. You're Harley Race. And then he grabs CM Punk and embraces him with the longest hug. Of course, Harley Race was covered in puke, and now CM Punk is now covered in Harley Race's puke.
Oh,
Oh man, the CAC. I don't think you've ever been, Sean, but it's definitely worth
not yet.
the money. It's $159 for the ticket for your basically, and the hotel is separate, but for your acceptance to get into it, it's 3 days. It's $159. It's $36 for a yearly membership, so you got to have a yearly membership. Then
Or you become a
$159.
lifetime member like me.
Or you can be a lifetime member like Bobby. He got it pretty discounted for him.
Well, in that
Yeah.
flyer,
Well,
it
I
costs
think
me 400 and some change a year now.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. I actually
But,
joined the VFW as a life member when I first got out. I didn't want to do just the yearly dues. I paid my lifetime fee and did that for the VFW. That's why I want to go entering the CAC.
Yeah.
hey, I mean, it's well worth it. You get to rub elbows, just like at our Fan Fest. You get to see all the legends that come through. But at the CAC,
Yeah.
it's a lot less fans, so they're more open to socializing and hanging out with everyone, and drinking up until 6 o'clock the next morning, or running the casinos trying to win some money, or you can be like Bob Orton Jr. and try to run pool halls. He ran a pool table for the whole damn night.
So like my oh shit moment, this is real, last year was, Herb puts out the thing where SIC is not to get any fights while we're there, like we're representing the company, all that. So Texan and I actually had breakfast with Haku and Attila. And it was just like real talk. It wasn't even wrestling talk. Like, it was like, holy shit, we're sitting here having breakfast with these guys.
Yeah. And then you walk by, through the casino to get to your room, and JBL is just sitting there at the bar, drinking. And anytime you see JBL at the bar, you're always thinking, the tag team with him and Ron Simmons, and like, is he about to get up and destroy this bitch? But
Oh yeah. The outdoor bar you had RVD sitting at the entire time.
oh yeah, it's just definitely Nathan needs to go to this next year. You need to go to it next year. We can bring, hopefully, this is just talk, but if Herb can get so many of the SICW locker room out there, maybe we can rent a ring and put on a show for the CAC. They have a wrestling show out there anyway, but I tell you, the show that's out there can be on the weird side. Because they have a lot of cross-dressing wrestlers, thrown in with, some legends. Sabu and Damien 666 was out there last year and he wrestled, but you got the guy that dresses up like Michael Jackson. He was out there 2 years ago.
I've seen him.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but definitely.
I'll throw it out there into the universe. And, I will volunteer my time to wrestle on this show.
So will I.
Because it would be an honor just to have these legends watching.
Hell yeah.
I mean, that's
I'll throw in and say, I'll volunteer all of you.
That's kind of what Iowa was like, though, because Iowa, when they have their Hall of Fame weekend, they bring all these legends in, and even the ones that are not in, like being inducted into the Hall of Fame, they had a bunch of legends. Demolition was there. Boogie Woogie Man was there. The Briscoe, Gerald Briscoe, and his son. I forgot his son's name.
Wes.
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 Yeah.
You had Devon Dudley. All these legends were there. And I actually got the opportunity to wrestle on the card that night and have them, besides ours. I mean, ours is just as big as those guys. Yeah, me seeing both of them, the Iowa Hall of Fame and being at the CAC, I think our Fan Fest this year was right up with those two, because I mean we had like a Hall of Fame induction, with even Herb getting a Hall of Fame. I forgot what particular plaque he got, but I know I had to do something with his 50 years being in the business. And then Gerald Briscoe was inducted into the Hall of Fame, among some others. And so we had the Hall of Fame, we had the Fan Fest, and we had the wrestling show. And I tell you, it was pretty cool wrestling and having wrestlers in the audience watching. So I mean, that was couldn't get any better than that, I think. So
Well, that's what,
I already see.
I'm not going to get into all the details of it, but like there was a compliment of my match from one of the legendary Hart family members. Like that was as much as I could have asked for.
Right.
More. And as you see from the scrolling pictures on here, we're already shaping up to be even bigger this year.
Oh man, I mean,
I'm excited. That's actually my younger brother's birthday. I'm gonna try to get him some of the VIP treatment.
there you go.
It's like, here you go, bro. Happy birthday.
Some of them, next year, because it's for next year's Fan Fest, are newer. Ones that haven't been coming around the St. Louis area. Some of them, like Joe Briscoe's been through the St. Louis area. Stan Hansen's been through the St. Louis area. Ron Simmons has been through the St. Louis area. But some of these guys are going to be new to me to be able to hang out with, like Paul Roma. At one point, he was one of the Four Horsemen. So, I mean, and that's cool. He was in WWF. Was it Power and Glory with Hercules?
Power and Glory. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Axe posting about. He was pretty excited about Power and Glory.
And then, so you mentioned Stan Hansen today. That came out. Yeah, The Godfather. Who doesn't want to meet The Godfather?
There's your rock and roll.
Yeah, Rock and Roll Express. I mean, it's just going to. I think Herb doesn't like to do things half-ass, and if he thinks he can better next year's Fan Fest, he's going to do it. He ain't going to try to go underneath and not do what he's already done. He's always going to try to top himself. So I can't believe he's already thrown these people out there, because we're 8 months away, 7 months away. Something
But
crazy
at the
like
same
that.
time, Herb's already getting reports of people booking hotel rooms for this. Like it's already booked.
I got scared, and like I was one of the guys that got the hotel room that night. The 2 days before, that Friday and that Saturday, because I knew a lot of the people weren't going to open up and hang out and mingle until after the fans stopped coming around. So Friday night, most of the legends that were in town, they closed down the bar and then went into where we kept the wrestling ring and closed down that place. I'll just say it that way.
Now, the room you got, does it have 2 beds?
I don't know. I just reserved a room this year, so we'll see what that entails.
Or an open floor space for me?
Oh, I'm sure it does.
It's going to entail everybody laying on the floor.
That's what I thought was going to happen last time, because
I've seen these guys in Vegas, and I'm pretty sure I cannot hang out with them. Like I can't hang with them.
I thought that was going to happen last year because who wants to leave the hotel when all the legends are still there? And there was so many classic pictures of the afterwards after the show, because you had Gerald Briscoe and Stan Hansen and JBL sitting in the hallway. And I think there's a couple more, and you can tell that they were having one hell of a discussion. And I know they closed down the bar Saturday night too, because most of them didn't have to leave until Sunday midday. So it was a pretty cool weekend, and I can't wait for next year in May to do it all over again.
I can tell you the ones that did have to leave before the show were not happy about it. So I was in the restroom and Brian Knotts came in there and he was talking to somebody new and he was very upset about having to leave before the Hall of Fame ceremony and show and all that.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
But I tell you, I've heard some names get tossed around, and it's just all in theory right now until her posts the poster. But
I say
man,
there's
he can
one
bring
thing I will above all else if he pulls it off.
there's there's a lot of names that were tossed out, and I mean it's so cool. I'll let some slide. Like there's talks of Lex Luger. That would be one guy I would love to see. I know he doesn't look like he used to. He's not all muscle bound, and he's kind of wheelchair bound right now. But man,
Yeah.
Be awesome to see him because even when he was in the WWE as the narcissist, he was still a great guy. And then they switched him to like Mr. USA.
Yeah, I
Did he
saw that.
ever come to your? Did he ever come to your boat, or was that before your time?
That was before my time.
Yeah. So you didn't get to see him body slam Yokozuna?
I was still a teenager.
uh,
Man,
well,
joined till I was 20. I'm not that old.
but yeah, I mean, this Fan Fest is going to be great. I can't wait until all the names get released, and I know we're on official break the rest of November and December, but I know he's still going to be releasing names left and right. I mean, I'm even excited for the guy who played Doink, Kern. Um, to me, growing up, I really liked both sides of Doink. I liked the evil clown when he first started. And I know that guy has since passed away, but I love that part of Doink. And then I liked the funnier, happy-go-lucky side of Doink that Kern played. So it'll be cool to
I
meet
liked him
him.
as well. When we started bringing in all the midget ones, Dink, Pink, Stink, and all that that's why it's like I got a little bit too big.
I do admit, yeah, when that happened with all the midgets, that kind of got a little overhanded. But
You talking about little Kato? Talking about that
No,
one?
no. Back in the day, Doink brought in a whole. It's like because they did a Survivor Series. It was Doink versus Jerry the King Lawler. Jerry Lawler had all his guys versus Doink's, and Doink had all these midgets, but they were all dressed up like him. So they were all like Dink, and it's just got a little too bizarre there for a second.
As a kid, it seemed fun, but when that actually was going on, and now you look back, it's like, what the heck were they thinking?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Some of McMahon's stuff, you just got to ask him, what the hell, man? What were you thinking about that stuff?
All right,
What about
who were you
over
partying with last night?
But yeah, I'm very interested. And if you guys want to go to Iowa too, I'm planning on going to Iowa. I know they released the dates, but I can't remember what the dates were. But our friend James Jeffries, he's the champion out there, and Impact Pro is the name of the organization that wrestles out there. But to see the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame and see them get inducted into the Hall of Fame at they kind of do what the CAC does, where they have this fancy dinner, and they have it there. So it's kind of cool to be able to dress up and hang out with these guys while they get their Hall of Fame inductions in there. So I mean, and plus it's like smaller than the CAC. So how you have a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of fans come out to Vegas for this, for the CAC, but there is some. Iowa is a little bit different. It's a small town with not a lot going on outside of pro wrestling. What one part is really cool is we were able to this year, we were able to walk around and find where the NWA had the president. I can't remember it. It's where the NWA had their headquarters is actually in Iowa. So Sam Mushnick had to go out there so many times a year and deal with everyone with the higher ups of the NWA, because that's where the headquarters was. And the building's still there. It's actually in an apartment building now, but it was still kind of cool to see where the history of the wrestling, organization started. But yeah, it's a great time. Definitely if CAC, go to Iowa, and then come to our Fan Fest. I think those are the top three things to do.
Come on.
Yeah. Let's see. I actually have some stuff written down here.
I have a quick question. What other promotions have you wrestled for? Just SICW, or did you do anything else?
I wrestled for a few places up north in Springfield. Some at the other side of Illinois, and say I did a couple of matches over at Pinfall Wrestling. I've worked a battle royal or two over at 01. There's another one, Strictly Insane Pro Wrestling, out in Crossville, Illinois. It's pretty much at the border of Illinois and Indiana. Did make a recent one at the upcoming one, RCW off in Albion, Illinois. Small place, but
totally different RCW than what me and Bobby's used to.
Yeah.
It's not Rampage. It's Redneck
Redneck.
Championship Wrestling.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Listen, I didn't know Frank was still there.
So Frank's son is actually starting RCW back up, or in the process to start it back up. So it'll be interesting, because I know Frank kind of does ACW as well. He's one of the commentators for Searchers Group. But I think his son is trying to build back RCW. So it'd be interesting. There's there's a couple different promotions, starting out. There's another one that just started over the weekend in Illinois. I seen some matches from it. And there's one that Derek Teeter talked about last night that started up in Missouri, called the Show Me Wrestling. So I mean, it's Midwest is definitely a hotbed for wrestling, but I would tell you to pick and choose what wrestling shows you go to, because there's a big yin to that yang of wrestling. So I guess it's really all depends on what you're into. If you want to stay with tough guy wrestling, old school, the Herbs. If you want kind of crazy style, that would be, like Epic, because they have hardcore matches. I know they did light tubes and stuff like that, so it's kind of yin to the yang. So, but Midwest is definitely still a popular wrestling, area. The NWA has been coming here the last 3 years, And I think for the foreseeable future, they're going to at least stop here once a year. To do the 76 and the 77, because even they know how good St. Louis wrestling is and what the history of it is. And speaking of the NWA, did you guys hear the crazy stuff that went on with them the last week or so?
Mm-mm.
My head's been in the clouds. I have no idea.
All right, so Billy Corgan, the owner of the NWA, had announced that he had signed on to the WB, for 2 wrestling shows. One was going to be the NWA Power, which is their YouTube show, which is just an hour long of wrestling. And one was going to be like behind the scenes style, like kind of like how the girls had that wrestling show for WWE. Had the fellas and what?
Total
Total
Divas.
Divas?
Yeah, Total Divas. But it was going to be like with all their wrestlers. It was going to be like the behind the scenes. But they just recently had a pay-per-view. And in that pay-per-view, one of the managers had his group of wrestlers standing around this table. And of course, it was pay-per-view. Of course, you had to buy it. However, they were doing a party scene where the manager did a line of Coke, and some of the other wrestlers had lines of Coke on the table and snorted it. And then they had a bong, and they were showing all this as a big old party scene during the pay-per-view. Well, the WB seen that, and they had a whole bunch of people say, "Hey, you're really going to get involved in this?" And then
Hell no.
2 days later, it was announced the WB signed NXT to take over wrestling for. So basically, they dropped the NWA like that and picked up NXT and bought them out, bought the rights to them.
I saw somebody post about that scene. I didn't know what promotion though.
Yeah, so I mean, it's
How did
just when you
Billy?
thought the NWA was gonna be, kind of they are like the 4th main promotion out there, but they had a chance to build some steam and get on a national TV channel with 2 shows, that can build on. And they already talked about, we talked about this last time, or maybe 2 weeks ago, about they're trying to do a territory system again. So they're bringing in or they're going to different territories and creating like their own version of NXT, and that they would bring people in from that organization and rise through the NWA ranks.
Not when you're blacklisted. Nobody's going to want to do that.
Well, I don't think they were blacklisted, but they surely fucked up.
When you get dropped like a hot potato and immediately somebody else is signed, it's not a good thing.
Right. I mean, there's still rumors that they might keep the NWA for their app services, like you can click on their app and some of the but I really doubt that the WWF will allow that, because they stopped, what was it, MLW, Major League Wrestling. There was that big lawsuit that they had against the WWE, because they were going to have a channel, a wrestling show on a channel, and WWE was going for that same network, and told them, "Hey, we'll give you basically our show at a discounted price, but you got to kick them to the curb." And then the MLW, was suing WWE for that, saying that that's not right, that they couldn't do that. I don't know whatever came up with the lawsuit, but I know that they were suing Stephanie McMahon and the WWE all together.
Well, I know WWE.
Well, I imagine it had to
out.
be settled since TKO is now that whole combined venture.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be settled because, when you buy out a company, you kind of inherit their problems. So in the lawsuit world, that just might have opened MLW's eyes a little bit more and say, hey, they got more money now. Let's increase that dollar amount. But I'm just saying that was really stupid of the NWA to be so close and to come up with a skit, because that had to be approved by Billy Corgan.
So I was going to say, how could Billy watch that and go, oh, yeah, the WB's going to want that, which the WB's been known to be family friendly.
Because he's a rock and roll guy. He's all about partying.
I get that on pay-per-views you can get away with a little bit more crazy stuff than you could if it was on national broadcast.
Yeah, 5 years ago.
Well, I mean, even today, you can still get away with a little bit more than what you can do on cable TV. Just like cable can do a little bit more than what you can do on the local national, programs. But we're talking WWE had like, Ron Simmons and JBL's group. I forgot the name of their actual tag team, which is bad.
APA Life Protection Agency.
Yes. Where they sat around, played poker, and drank. And then they got in bar fights a lot, so alcohol has always been used. But to sit there and pretend, or who knows even if it was pretend, to do lines of coke off of a table, that's...
Well, I gotta say, let's separate the two because alcohol's legal, cocaine is not.
That's so true.
And, I mean, come on, just every podcast we do, one of us is drinking something.
Again, legal versus not legal.
Hopefully, Gentleman Jack.
Yeah, there we go. I'm currently out. So if Gentleman Jack is anyone of the Jack Daniels Corporation is currently watching this, I'll give you my address. You just got to reach out to Nate. So, please.
Still waiting for him to get back.
I do want to throw this out that I just heard this tonight. Today's the anniversary of Eddie Guerrero's passing. And I cannot believe it's been 18 years since Eddie Guerrero has passed. And I tell you, not even knowing what today was, I can tell you last week alone, I probably watched 5 or 6 matches of him. And that's, I think, a staple of telling you how still he's influential, or what's the word? He's influential to the wrestlers nowadays. Because I'm watching it, and then tomorrow when I go to the Ace Academy, I might throw something out at those trainees and have them do something that Eddie Guerrero did that I seen him do. So I mean that's, he's been gone 18 years and he's still, anyone who does, what was that move out the top rope he did? Frog splash. Anyone who does.
Someone's gonna do one of those kids gonna do 3 Amigos tomorrow. I guarantee you.
Bob,
I'm not gonna tell him to do it.
I do a version of 3 Amigos.
Yeah,
because of that.
It's just crazy that we lost him at such a young age, and it was during his rebound years too. He had just come back from his stint of being kicked out for his drugs and alcohol use. Finally rebounded in his life, got his life back together, got his wife and his kids back, got his job back. And there was rumors that they were going to throw the title back on him too, before his passing. So it's just a shame, but his heart couldn't keep up, even in his, redemptions part of his life where he had quit everything. It just tells you, you can screw up your system so bad that even afterwards, it can still catch back up to you and get you. Sad, but and no doubt in my mind, we're going to go into World War III here pretty soon. You know,
All I can tell you is the lieutenant commander that was in charge of that group, he was one of the best.
well, anytime you got a shitty president, the best way to turn him around is, and especially one who has really took away our independence, from our oil, shutting down our refineries. And I know we normally don't talk political shit here, but he's really damaged the U.S. And the best way to turn around someone who's not popular is to go to war, because that makes a lot of money for America. Because we're sending our troops out there, we're using all of our weapons, and so we got to replenish. So it's more jobs for Americans to build our war systems back up. And man, he is just, in my eyes, he's just a really shitty president, and that's the only way to turn his popularity around. Regardless if we want to go to war or not, him spending all the billions of dollars or trillions of dollars to save some places that, Israel, I have no problem over. Israel is surrounded by a bunch of countries that want to take them down. But the other one that we sent trillions of dollars to,
Ukraine.
I don't think should have happened. Regardless, I mean, for the people who lost their lives, I feel sorry for them. But that place has always been known as a corrupt place, and I think we are seeing some of that, come to light. But that's just my personal opinion, and I try not to get political. But I just foresee it, that we will go to war soon, and I don't want to because I don't want my son to be involved in it. But he signed his life away.
I know with 9/11, I had two friends that were already in Afghanistan 6 months before 9/11 happened. So,
well, I don't know if you guys want my opinion on 9/11 either. Because I'll just say building number 7 mysteriously collapsed, wasn't hit by no plane, wasn't even close to the building, and all of a sudden it caught on fire, and it was just a natural fire that they could have put out, but then all of a sudden it collapsed like it had been exploded intentionally. Right after the guy who owned all 3 buildings, the 2 towers and building number 7, had a nice insurance policy put on it like a week or 2 weeks prior. So
that one I have to at least not.
conspiracies.
Conspiracy.
I would love to talk to Jesse Ventura, because that guy has got some I wouldn't say conspiracies. He knows a lot of truths, and even I wish his show was still on the air, that dealt with conspiracies. That was a great show, but they immediately took that off once he started to get too close to it.
Yeah.
Well, Jesse was a member of SEAL Team 6, wasn't he?
I know he was a SEAL. I don't know if he was SEAL Team 6 or not. SEAL Team 6, that's the one that actually killed Bin Laden, right?
Believe so.
All right, so he probably wasn't a member of them, because Jesse was in the military.
Yeah, that was
a long time ago.
Yeah.
Before his
the way the teams
WWF
work,
career.
the way the teams work is there's different colors to them.
Oh.
There's white, red, green. Yeah, he was SEAL Team 12 underwater delimitation. I think that's a white.
But
Still good.
he explains building number 7 a lot better than whatever I could. But there was a lot of money to be made for all 3 of those buildings to go down. And uh, there was a lot of money to be made to blame certain people for it. So money was made. I'll just say that. Plus, the whole Pentagon, there was no evidence of a plane going into it. And there was a lady in the Pentagon who says that she was in the room that a bomb went off. And they gagged her and said that she couldn't speak to anyone. But she can tell you now that the bomb went off in that room that she was in. No plane hit that. And so coincidentally, it was like a day prior that they announced that the Pentagon lost trillions of dollars and they didn't know where it went. But that room that exploded was the room that held all the detailed information about it. Man, you're in the. I'm going to shut my mouth now because you're in the wrong territory. Speaking of that, let's get back on the wrestling. Hey, you know what?
Because hey, I'm under contract. I can't sign anything or say
My
anything. So.
wife bought me this guy right here, and this is Harley Race. Yes.
The
So
king.
the king. I couldn't, but I seen him on the peg hook, and I had went to. This is from Target, and I went to Target the day prior, and they didn't have a whole lot of wrestlers out there. But I was kind of looking for a Mr. Perfect, because growing up, I really liked Mr. Perfect. I think he played the heel. Him and Ravishing Rick Rude, I think, were the two best heels back in the day.
Yeah,
And
then you give me crap last week about me liking the honky tonk man.
that's because he sucked.
I said that's the reason the honky tonk
It was like smacking people with that guitar.
Oh,
Well, then be a Jeff Jarrett fan.
there's no comparison, Nate. You got Mr. Perfect and Ravishing Rick Rude. Those were the best heels. And then you got the King, over there. And I met him, and he's a great guy to talk to. And he even took a picture with Dylan. I was actually lacing my wrestling boots, and Dylan walked over to him and started talking to him, and someone took a picture of it. And I think he still has that hanging up somewhere of him and the Honky Tonk Man.
That was at the Scottish Rite Center here in Belleville.
Yep. And it's so crazy because, that was a time period where that church kind of, that building was up for sale. And then we kind of swooped in for a one night only. And now it's back to being a church. But,
and yeah, I've been sick in like a decade. I go to that church and I end up sick.
Yeah, well, I didn't say it was a clean church. I just said it was a church. But
I'm surprised I didn't catch on fire.
Anytime that you can pick up a Harley race, especially here in the Midwest, everyone knows Harley is God around here. So that was awesome.
I had an idea for the Fan Fest. I actually had an idea. There's actually stores downtown Belleville that do have old classic LJN figures that I think would definitely be a big pull for a vendor at the Fan Fest next year.
So actually,
That'd be really good.
I know the place you're talking about, downtown Belleville. It's I Had That, I think is the name of the title. Yep. They are actually great guys. I've talked to them. I hand them a poster every time we got posters coming out. They fly it in their window for me. And they actually had signings at that place before. Not that I want to take a YouTube. I mean, me and Nathan talked about taking a YouTube channel to kind of like who's the internet god right now? What's his name? Wrestler.
Oh, Mr. Beast.
No. In wrestling, the internet god, the independent god of wrestling.
Oh, Matt Cardona.
Matt Cardona. Yes, Matt Cardona. He goes around, the different toy shops, and they close down for him. And then there's a guy for AEW that normally goes around with Matt Cardona, and he's actually been to St. Louis plenty of times. Paige, He's not Hangman Page, but he's the other Page for AEW. He's actually wrestled.
Oh, Sean and Bobby should know that. It's their generation.
I don't watch AEW.
He's wrestled for the people that are going back into South Broadway. Glory Pro. God, I wish I could think of his name. But he hangs out with Dan, Van Helsing, the guy that dresses up like he's Dracula.
Douchhausen.
Van Helsing.
I've just seen a
They,
poster for them.
Danhausen?
yeah, Dan Helsing. This Paige and him went to that place, and they closed it down for him, and they shot their YouTube channel there, where they went through the whole building and looked through all the LGNs and the Star Wars and the GI Joes and everything, He-Man, because they collect everything. Even Matt Cardona collects everything. Eventually, I would love to have a YouTube channel if we can get it built up like that, especially because they expense all the stuff that they buy to the company, and that would be great too. Because I would love to buy some high dollar items that I can't afford myself and expense it to the company.
Well, that's a part of the three-phase program. We just the problem with our podcast is it's not a real problem. It's just that most of the views we get are from wrestlers, but they don't follow and don't share it. They just send us messages saying, "Oh, we liked it, we watched it." I don't know the guy's name because haven't had the time to go into his page, but there's a guy in the WWE right now that sends us comments every day, but he doesn't share it and doesn't subscribe and follow. So,
I was on the SICW premiere last night of their YouTube show. SICW also wrestling, and I was chiming in with all the people that were on the chat. And I wish you can go back and see the chat, because when it's live, that's one version of the chat, and then when it's replayed, that whole chat group is gone, and you just see the current comments, which sucks because we actually got a shout out through the comments. I just chimed in, "Hey, this is Texan. How's everyone doing?" And everyone was chiming in. One of the guys yesterday said, "Hey, after this is over, I'm going to go watch the latest episode of your podcast." And I said, "Man, that's great." And he said that he loves it when we have a guest on like Shaw, and we go through his whole career. He said that a lot of times you get a podcast and they just bring the guy on and they talk current, what's going on with him current, but he likes the fact that we dig a little deeper and find out, that he was in the Navy and that he did 15 years of martial arts, that he likes finding out all the details about the wrestler. Whether he boos the guy or cheers the guy, he wants to know all that he can about those wrestlers that we have. And so I was asking in the chat room, I said, "Hey, where's everyone from?" And, I think there was, at this point, probably like 36 people in the chat. And, one person said Tennessee, other one said Iowa. And it was just great to see that SICW, and we know this, me and Bobby know this from going to Vegas, that, you walk into the casino and the people are there for the wrestling, know who you are. Of course, we had no clue on who these people were, but they were fans and they were watching the program. And we talk about it all the time, and we express it all the time that, with SICW being on Roku, and for the time being, they were on the billboard channels that you would see in the airplanes and on Times Square, and now the YouTube that's been going strong forever. we, branch out. I mean, there's a lot of people from across the U.S. and even, overseas that watch our program, the SICW version. And I mean, granted, I would
And
love
our
to capitalize on that and bring them over. And I've actually put links in the comments too to try to get them to come over. But just to know that us Midwest wrestlers are being seen everywhere. And I don't think we have we always hear, because you always hear Herb talk about how we're seen and how we're recognized, but you don't really understand that until you are recognized and you're in a different damn state, like Las Vegas, or you're in a chat where someone says, "Hey, I'm watching you guys from Tennessee." I mean, that's 6 hours away, and they're still watching us as their wrestling program. So it's kind of crazy. We just need to get them aboard onto our channel. We've had a couple videos go crazy. Since we got Shaw on tonight, this one's going to be another one that goes crazy. Because Sean's going to share the shit out of this. And,
Right.
But, James Beard, he's probably our highest actual podcast show. And that's due to his participation in the new movie The Claw, which premiered I guess it was last week in Dallas. It's not national yet because that doesn't happen until December, but the world premiered it in Dallas last week. And he was posting, it's about time we got to see it. And then after, you can tell like a couple hours after he watched the movie, he was talking about how good it was. So we got to get him back on and get his opinion of it. But I can tell you he loved it. When they world premiered it, they had all the actors up on the stage. And just to kind of seal the deal, they brought Kevin Von Erich out. And he gave it a thumbs up because I guess he's seen it previously, that they showed it to him privately. And so he spoke about it. And today I seen it on Facebook that his sons, because we talked about, his sons are laying low and that they should take advantage of this, the movie about the family coming out. Well, I seen it today on Facebook that they are going to be taking bookings. They're going to be taking the U.S. by storm and try to reclaim the Von Erich name and say that their family curse is now broken and that's their goal, is to break the family curse. So I'm thinking everything that we talked about with James Beard is actually coming true. The boys are getting back out there. Kevin's back home in Texas. And he loved the movie, and the movie went great in the premiere. And now it's just to sit back and wait for us to see it so we can get our opinions about it. But I can't wait because I think that story. I don't know, Shaw, if you were a Von Erich kid or you followed any
I
of
liked
them.
him. I like that. I like Harry. I like Harry when he was in there. I never knew he was on a prosthetic back then, though. That when I found that out, that definitely made me a little freak out. Like, holy crap!
But didn't it make you appreciate him even more because he was still he was still able to maintain the level that he was at with only half of a foot. I mean, that's crazy. You talking about your balance doing push-ups. Fuck. Doing wrestling with half of a foot, and that's just
Especially
crazy.
his finisher was that spinning clothesline or form he did. The tornado that he did at the very
It
end.
was the tornado punch is what he was doing. And
Yeah,
I tell you,
that's what I was thinking.
you got to have, pretty good balance to go around in circles like a tornado and then clearly throw that punch at the right moment to hit your opponent. Because anyone could go in circles, but, you get that dizzy, that punch could be anywhere, and for you to be able to throw it at your opponent just right. I mean, that guy, I always loved Kerry. I thought Kerry could have been the next Hulk Hogan. if he would have just
I thought
stayed
so
off
too.
the substance, because
Yeah.
damn, that boy had the looks. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm glad he was able to get the NWA belt from Ric Flair,
Oh
but
yeah.
I tell you, that probably had a lot to do with David's passing that they gave him the belt.
Mm-hmm.
But I swear, if it didn't happen then, it would have happened eventually because he had the looks of a champion. Um,
Oh yeah.
anyhow, I just can't wait for that movie to come out. I've always been a Von Erich freak, and I've watched everything I can imagine that's out there on YouTube about the Von Erich. So I know it's not going to be to the T because it is a movie and they need to make money and need to make ratings, so they are probably going to blemish a little bit. But
But what did James say? Was it romance with some wrestling in it?
yeah, that's how he put it.
You gotta have a love story for the ladies.
Yeah.
Well, and going back to learning, Shaw, your 15 years in martial arts, it was a couple months back, but a fan asked me, talking about you directly because you were in the ring, how you were so flexible. And I'm just sitting there, well, I have no freaking idea. He's a big boy and he's that
Well,
flexible, putting a leg up on the top rope. I don't have any idea. Now I have an answer for him.
well, that's part of it.
Martial arts, 15
I
years.
also have dabbled in some yoga over the years recently too. A little bit of DDP, some more conventional.
What's that sexual
Gotta
stuff?
do a little bit of that.
Kama Sutra.
Yeah, he's dabbling on
I did that more in my Navy days.
Stories to follow. No.
Well, I've
Well,
blabbered a lot, and I don't know what time we got, but Shaw, is there something we need to know about you, or what we got to look forward to you in the future? What's your goals? Um, where do you want your wrestling career to end, or what's the top that you want to climb before you hang up the boots?
Hey, I just want to go as long as I can, as long as my body holds out. I want to, put on the best matches I can. I want to face quite a few people, both in our locker room that I haven't gotten to yet, and a lot of other promotions out there. It's like I'm trying to branch out more in 2024 if I can. I would like to go to Harley's place and do work a little bit over there. I'd love to, like you guys were saying, try to put on a show down at Vegas for Cauliflower Hour. I would be so down with that. See, people that I grew up watching, seeing me doing the exact same thing would be that would be a next level experience for me. I've had a few here and there, but not in a large group like that place would give.
Oh yeah. So I'm assuming there's some titles you want to shoot for.
Oh, I think I got a couple I kind of been looking at there.
you're going to be in the
2024.
yeah, you're going to be in the battle royale for the cup in May.
Oh, I think I might try to work on that. I'm pretty sure I got a license from Missouri with my name on it.
There we go. I heard that Herb is going to kind of tie that down a little bit more because last year we had 32 people in that battle royal, and Herb said that
That's a hard one to win.
he likes it more when we can start it off with everyone in the ring or like split it in half where instead of like how they had it where they had to have 32 different times where people were running into the ring. He wants it more like the old school style where they all start in the ring and battle. And I think we
Try
did
being in the first group that went in.
that.
Too many thick kids. It was hot.
Didn't you guys,
Oh, I was drenched.
didn't both of you do a battle royale where Herb had 2 rings?
Yes.
We did.
We did.
That was the first time the Central States title was awarded.
Or Gary Jackson won it.
Gary Jackson won it, yeah. And the time before that, the only other person that did a 2 battle royal ring here in the mid states area was Larry Matisek when he had his promotion up and running right after wrestling at the Chase folded. His promotion ran two rings. And I tell you, it was very interesting. It was the first time I ever, was involved in something like that. It was a very, was it kind of like war games almost? The old NWA way of you get thrown out of one ring. Well, your chance wasn't up yet. You still can go into the second ring. You still had an opportunity to win it. Because they took the last person out of the first ring and the last person out of the second ring, and then they actually wrestled for the belt. It made it a very long night for those two people. But hell, to be crowned the very first Central States title holder in SICW, I mean that, and Gary Jackson won that. So big props to him, who is going into the Hall of Fame this year. So we'll throw that out there too. He is. I can't remember. I think he's going in. I want to say it's a Larry Matisek award that he's going in under. We'll talk to him next week because Gary Jackson will be our guest again for next week. He's going to come in and kind of continue our series talking about his military background. I know I was in the locker room when Shaw and Gary were going back and forth with their military backgrounds, and especially
I remember that.
yeah, it was a very cool, listening, just to be a fly on the wall and listen to their independent military stories. But so he'll be on. We'll ask him about it. See how well how excited he is to go in. Especially at such a young age and looking the way he does, since he
Yeah, it looks like he's about 21.
right. All right, so you're gonna branch out, go to more organizations. You're gonna shoot for some more belts. You're gonna come out to Vegas with us. You're gonna go to Iowa. You're gonna win win Bobby's Cup. And
I want it all.
there you go. Do you have any social media accounts that you would like to plug? Let us know anything.
Well, I think I'm going to be bringing back my Facebook page. Probably do a couple tweaks here and there, but yeah, I'm going to try bringing that back. Might try to maybe get a couple other ones going on because maybe do a couple. I remember one thing I definitely liked was when Kevin Owens was Kevin Steen, and he has a little show when he did his trips here and there. I thought that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed him. This sucks WWE made him take him down when he got signed, but that would be a kind of fun thing too. Because even when I was like road tripping to bases, there was still fun things to see on the road. So I think that might be something to bring back.
And it's funny, but they created their own little program, because they had the sing-alongs where they did the road trips, but they also talked about the backstories and things. But then they would sing a song too, which is kind of, I guess, what was that? It wasn't the Tonight Show, but it was a late night show that did that.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of took it off of them. But
Yes. I'm pretty sure it was a lot.
I agree with you. Sometimes it's nice to see, the stories, especially the road trips, because a lot of people don't realize that sometimes you don't get the money that you were set up to make for that show that you did, and so now you're having to scramble to come back home on the gas you hopefully had in the car, and then hopefully you had enough money to feed yourself. The beginning of a wrestler's career is not so glamorous behind the scenes, and sometimes it's got to be shown. Because a lot of times people, being a trainer, I can't tell you how many people that has come through and made it maybe 2 weeks and then give up. But they thought, oh, this is going to be easy. I can do backflips in my yard, or I'm pretty athletic, so I can do this. And then 2 weeks, you don't see them again. And
Or the schmucks that do it for 2 months think they know everything and think, I don't got to worry about being on matches here. I'm going to go other places and tell them I earned all this here.
right.
All 2 months of it.
You see it all. So it's kind of nice. It would be kind of nice to see the behind the scenes things. And I think that's
Absolutely.
something maybe me and Bobby and Nate will branch out too. Showing the setup of the show days, because we're normally there on the show days at 3:00. Doing the finishing details of what tables need to be set up and how the audio needs to be set up. And of course, Nate, films all of our shows. So I mean, it's kind of cool to see all that behind the scenes stuff. Just not pulling back the curtain too far to reveal the stupid side. Even though I love the wrestlers on Netflix, because it does peel back the curtain a lot. Sometimes at the rebuttal of Al Snow, who doesn't want to. So it's kind of cool to see that back and forth. But I think some of it could be shown, because a lot of people need to know how bad sometimes it hurts to train, and when you're not used to running the ropes and then getting the crosshairs, implanted on your ribs, the bruises that show up, and because it's definitely something that you work at. It's not something that just comes easily to a lot of people. Well, our guest disappeared. But I do want to say I appreciate you coming on tonight. I know it was a short notice. I actually got a hold of you this morning and asked you if you're free and you would want to hop on. And of course, right away you said yes, which always makes me feel proud that we got something going on good, that other wrestlers want to hop on and help us climb this ride. People out there in YouTube land, if you love what you hear, what you see, and like the fact that the wrestlers are coming on and giving you a backstory, just like the guy that was on the YouTube telling me that they love to hear the backstory of the wrestlers. Let us know that. Do a comment down below, give us a like, and always, share the product. Sharing it is only going to make us bigger, and we can do a lot more things. Again, Shaw, thank you for coming on. Bobby, as always, love the fact that you are on. Nate, he kind of disappeared on us. I don't know what happened to him, but
I just
Message that his phone battery died.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, from the Squared Ring Podcast, I would like to say thank you all for joining in. Until next week, like I said, Gary Jackson will be our special guest. He'll talk about his Hall of Fame induction. He also wrestled in WCCW, and he's wrestled, I don't think in Global, but there's one in between Global and WCCW that was in Texas that he wrestled out. So we'll try to squeeze out some more information about Gary's history. But until next week, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Shaw, for coming in tonight. But you guys have a good night, and we will see you all again next week. Thank you.